Sara Blakely is the founder of Spanx, and Time magazine called her one of the 100 most influential people in the world. She went from working at Disney World and selling fax machines door to door to starting out all on her own as an entrepreneur with $5,000 and becoming the youngest ever female billionaire on the planet. Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Sara Blakely, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Don't care what others think.
And another thing that, is really important to work on in yourself is not caring about what other people think about you. And that's a hard one. And that's a practice that a journey I'm still on. And it's important to learn. What I learned was by not caring what other people think about me doesn't mean I don't care about them. I care deeply about them and the people I love, but you really need to free yourself of that, especially if you want to chart your own course.
Rule number 2, find hidden blessings.
By the time I was 31, I'd lost 11 different people close to me from separate tragedies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I've been, dropped to my knees many times in life by grief. I mean, it's like unbearably painful. But I will say that, going through that, I always think there's a hidden blessing in everything that we go through in life. And one of the blessings was that facing my own mortality at a really young age had all these hidden gifts. I use mortality and sort of the insignificance of all of this in a positive way. It doesn't, just how temporary this all is to fuel me and to say, why would I ever not do this? What? Because I'm afraid that person's not going to remember me 5 minutes after I make a fool of myself anyway. Let's do this. We're all here for just a short period of time. So it freed me up. In a way that I think most people in the natural course of life, maybe starts to think about in their 40s when they might lose a parent or a grandparent or something. So, yeah, really.
How do you get through a challenging loss like that? What's your process?
Oh my gosh, one day at a time. I mean, it is just one day at a time.
Rule number 3, redefine failure.
I think failure and your attitude and the way that you embrace the fear of failure is a big part of where we end up in our lives. And my father used to, at the dining room table, ask my brother and me what we failed at. And he used to encourage us to fail. So I can remember being at the dining room table and he would say, Sara, what'd you fail at this week? And if I didn't have something to tell him, he'd be disappointed. And I can remember coming home and sitting at the dining room table and saying, Dad, I tried out for this and I was horrible. And he would say, way to go, and high-five me. And those teachings and that principle that was such a gift for me as a child actually came from Wayne Dyer. My dad had been listening to a series called What Do You Really Want for Your Children? And so I got the benefit, and so did my brother, of this sort of different way of parenting and thinking. And for me, it redefined failure. Failure was no longer, for me, the outcome. Failure was not trying.
Rule number 4, find your thinking time.
I have 4 children under the age of 8. He turned 8 last week. So time alone is even more sacred, and it's a time that I absolutely need to carve out for myself. So one of the things that I did is I found out when my best thinking time is, and it's in the car. So I live only 5 or 6 minutes from the Spanx headquarters, but I actually many times leave my house an hour before I need to be at work and go on a fake commute. So my friends have laughed and called it my fake commute, but I realize that's when my mind wanders and And that's when my ideas come to me. And so I have to carve that time out. So I'm driving around with all the other commuters, and I'm like the happy commuter, because I don't ever have an agenda of where I'm going. Sometimes I'm in Inman Park, sometimes I end up in downtown, sometimes I'm in Decatur. I just drive around. And there must be something for me about the activity of driving and being able to think and just listen to some background music that accesses a certain part of my brain. And I read the other day that Einstein had all his best ideas when he was shaving. And so there must be something about a rote activity that you're doing that allows you to, at least for me, it's driving. So that's one thing that I would say that I do. So find out and identify when your best think time is, and make sure you're making that happen in your life. And I'm not talking about when you're just going through your checklist of everything you have to do. I'm talking about, when does your mind wander? And if you don't have enough time carved out in your life for your mind to wander, you're not accessing the best part of yourself, because there's a knowing inside of you, and it's when you're in that space, not when you're watching TV, and not, it's even more difficult now with how much distractions we have from ourselves.
Also, if you want to learn from other girl boss and billionaire entrepreneurs, check out my 254 series, where every day I send you for 254 days an amazing link to an unlisted video to fix and improve your mindset. The link to join is in the description below, and it's free.
When I was selling copiers door to door, I had a very clear vision of what my life was going to be like.
One of the biggest things I can say is differentiate yourself. Go outside of our comfort zone. So I really believe that that's a big part of it.
Rule number 5, make a difference.
Money just makes you more of who you already were. So if you were kind, you're going to be kinder. If you're a jerk, become a bigger jerk.
Right.
You know, insecure, you become more insecure. I see it as a magnifying glass, like, money. So money didn't change me. It doesn't feel weird to me to for me, it was really about, I was so inspired to make a product that was going to make a difference and make people feel good. And especially women, I feel like the industry had stopped caring about how we felt in our clothing. And I was really, I wanted to take that angle of like, no, I do believe we can feel good and look good at the same time.
It doesn't have to be like uncomfortable.
It doesn't have to be a compromise,
Rule number 6, delegate your weaknesses.
I remember somebody saying to me as I was delegating and growing and getting bigger, that they said, Sara, if it's 80% as good as you could do it yourself, let it go and be very happy. And that was so freeing for me, because I think I was always critiquing in my mind, like, that wasn't 100% exactly the way. And I was just like, so that became a really important lesson for me in growing the business and letting go more.
Rule number 7, balance.
When I say empathy, I'm also talking about, I have a deep understanding of what the customer needs. So it's not just everybody, it's not just empathy in the sense of sharing exactly how you're feeling all day, every day inside of the company. And for that, we have a wonderful team of leaders that are all listening to their employees and the customers directly. But I would say that as far as the feminine leadership style goes in that regard, you just want to, make sure that it's a balance. So I honor the masculine in me that's very results driven as well. And I have leaders that do that as well. So we talk about how we balance each other out. But I am a believer that showing vulnerability and having empathy is a very positive way to get motivation out of people.
Rule number 8, trust your gut.
I think you said what people don't know about me, so I was trying to think about it, but I'm most proud of the fact that that I was able to achieve this in a really kind way, that I can look at myself in the mirror and I am where I am, and I feel really good about it, and really good about myself. I didn't feel like I had to compromise. When I first started Spanx, I was at a cocktail party, and 3 guys came up to me and they said, Sara, we heard you just started a business and invented something. And I said, yes. And they go, business is war. And I just looked at them and then one guy, pat me on the back and he said, yeah, I hope you're up for it. I hope you're ready for war.
Wow.
And I went home that night in my apartment and I sat down on the floor and I literally started crying. And I remember thinking, I don't want to go to war. Like, why does it have to be war? I want to go about this in a completely different way. And so the whole journey of Spanx, I really took a feminine approach to it. I mean, I didn't know business. I'd never taken a business class. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't go out and raise VC. So I trusted my gut. I stuck with intuition. I, just did things what felt very, I think traditional business has been very male energy. And so I wanted to see what would happen if I took a very feminine energy approach.
Rule number 9, learn from failures.
Well, where my mind goes first when I mess up is where's the opportunity and where's the hidden blessing. So I will immediately turn it into a positive. So that's just happened through years of me training my brain and my thinking to respond that way. Then after I immediately look for where's the opportunity and where's the hidden blessing, then I go to what have I learned? And I always think if there's something you can learn from it, it's an awesome opportunity that something happened to you. And then of course, if you can make somebody else laugh or smile about it, share the story.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is write down your ideas.
I've always had a notebook with me, the same size notebook with me at all times. And now I still have the notebook with me, but I also now with iPhones, the second I have an idea, I email it to myself or I log it in notes or I write it down in a notebook. I mean, the second I have it. So that's really important for me as far as keeping them. And then I go back and revisit them. And right now I have 56 pages, single spaced of ideas. My team that works with me is, they keep it, and every couple weeks I'll say, can you get out the document? And they know what I'm talking about, and I'll just go through it. And the ones that keep surfacing, like something I did recently was the belly art project. I created a book of pregnant women who we painted their belly wild, amazing objects. And it started with my own belly when I was pregnant with my son. And then I ended up using the book to give all the money to charity, to Christy Turlington's Every Mother Counts. But that idea sat in a drawer for like 3 or 4 years. I took pictures of my own belly. I woke up at 3 a.m. the night before 3 days before I delivered my son. And I literally thought, my body's amazing. This is incredible. It may never be in this state again. This is like a beautiful canvas. What can I do? And so I wrote down Mr. Potato Head, basketball, beach ball, and watermelon, and then went back to bed. And the next morning, I called a friend. I said, can you paint all these things on my belly? And I ran around Atlanta. And I literally went into the Kroger on Peachtree with my very pregnant belly painted as a watermelon and put it on top of the watermelon display. And you cannot tell the difference between my belly and the watermelon. So anyway, but that's just one thing that was in the list of, so some of them are Spanx related, some of them are not at all. And I honor each idea.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, if you're still here watching and you promise, you commit that you're gonna take action after watching this video, you're not just gonna watch a video, you're gonna do something afterwards, give me a hashtag believe in the comments because I want to celebrate you.
I have said that as soon as you can afford to hire your weaknesses, and when Spanx started, I was much more comfortable being the inventor, the salesperson, the marketer. And I learned very quickly what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses. And oftentimes what we are not good at is naturally a weakness. And so as soon as I could afford to, I hired someone that became the president and ultimately the CEO for a period of time at Spanx. And she was very good at running the day-to-day operation side of the business. And I had to be out promoting and inventing.
If you want to see 10 more rules from Sara Blakely, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
You should really take the time for yourself to practice it and learn it because all of life is sales.
I always tell people, what you don't know can be your greatest asset if you let it.